10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Tuesday night. That means it is Power Hour night. I'm Lee Kraft, aka the Monday Morning Racer. Over there, Darren Williams, Jr., Assistant Editor for CompetitionPlus.com. Darren, how is it in Southern California? Is it still sunny?
Man, it's funny that you asked that. It was actually raining yesterday. It rained all day yesterday, but today it was sunny. Sunny and 75 like it always is. And happy to be back this week. It took last week off. I had to go to the Clipper game and stuff like that. But a lot of news has happened this offseason here in the NHRA, so I'm ready to talk about it. You guys saw Austin Prock last week. We got Daniel Wilkerson this week. So new rising stars in Nitro Funny Car for 2024.
Yes, the funny car landscape with its average age is dropping rapidly, and that is a good thing to see in NHRA drag racing for sure. And certainly looking forward to chatting with Daniel. Daniel already had a great interview with Joe Costello on WFO Radio. We hope to dive in a little bit differently with Mr. Wilkerson and chat on what he expects for the 2024 season in NHRA Mission Foods drag racing.
Yeah, no more Camp Girls. Now Mission Foods Drag Racing Series. And, I say, Daniel Wilkerson is definitely riding a high right now, coming off, tuning Chad Green to his first ever Nitro Funny Car win. I believe it was the first win for Daniel as a crew chief himself. So to come off that and just a few weeks later, you're now announced as a new driver of the SCAG Nitro Funny Car. I think, like I said, he's riding a wave right now, and he's the talk of the town in the NHRA. So it's great to see.
Definitely has momentum, and I'm sure he wants that to continue behind the wheel and into a big, massive race to kick off the Nitro racing world down there with the SCAG Pros part. But Bradenton is not waiting just for that race as a big race. The U.S. Streetcar Nationals this weekend, the Door Slammer boys are getting the drag racing season kicked off in earnest.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, you say this all the time. Drag racing season never ends. NHRA may end, Funny Car Chaos may end, these other series may end, but drag racing is definitely year-round. And like you said, we're seeing that here this weekend, U.S. Street Nationals at iconic Bradenton Raceway. And it's going to be a fun event. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Bradenton after our interview with Daniel Wilkerson. A little Bradenton kind of, leading the way as far as, with these independent races that they have. And like we said, the Pro Shootout, U.S. Street Nationals, the Snowbirds, they put on some great independent races.
They really do. Looking forward to that discussion. We hope you hang around for that discussion. Hit that like button, hit the share button. We want to say thank you to Doug and Lonnie and Bill. They chime in that they're watching, and we are glad to have you watching. We also want to say thank you to Weldon High Performance. Weldon High Performance, they pump this show up. I say it routinely. If they can make pumps for the aviation application, they, in their high performance pumps for your racing application, certainly should be able to take you to victory lane. Weldon High Performance. They pump the show up. They can pump up your ride. And there he is, Mr. Wilkerson, one of the biggest announcements over the silly season time frame for NHRA drag racing, that he will step behind the family hot rod and take it into the future. Daniel, we're excited for you, and congratulations on the move, man.
Thank you, pal. Thank you. I appreciate it. Exciting times.
Daniel, like you said, congratulations on the big announcement. And like I said, to start off the show, you're coming off, tuning Chad Green to his first win in Nitro Funny Car, your first win as a crew chief. And now, just a few months later, you're announced as a new driver of the SCAG Nitro Funny Car. Like I said, it seems like you're riding a wave right now. Does it seem like that way towards you?
Oh, man. I keep saying we're living the dream, but I don't know if that's adequate. Yeah, man, to get a win as working on a car, that was a goal all year. And honestly, there's a couple of times I thought for sure we're going to be able to get it done earlier in the year. and we never were able to make it come true. So to get it at the last race, to get at Pomona, that was awesome. And hopefully, like you guys said, we can carry that momentum into the next season. Not as a gentleman working on the car, but driving the thing.
Well, we certainly think you're going to be able to do that. And look, congratulations on the success tuning and turning the knobs. But man, look, you are successful in your interviews. People want to hear, when it came to Funny Car, old Big Jim Dunn say whatever was going to come out of his mouth or whatever was going to come out of Daniel Wilkerson's mouth. And I think you provided one of the great moments, honestly. There were several, but I say it all the time on this show, the Chimichanga Challenge. Like, I love that, man. I mean, where does this stuff come from? Are you reading, fantasy books? What storytellers did you glean from? Where does it come from?
Oh, no, man. We called it that around the shop. I actually think my little brother might have came up with that to give credit where credit's due. So we called it around the shop. We called it that for a while. So, I mean, those interviews, I tell people all the time, you get what I am. I can't really deliver anything else, right? So the guy I am at the shop when we're talking about the Mission Foods Challenge, I always call it the Chippy Choma Challenge. So bam, out it came. And I don't really prep. That's why they come out like they come out, right? Because you just get whatever I'm feeling at the moment.
And keeping on that, and obviously we're all drag racing fans, so even though we're Competition Plus, we also tune into other shows, and you were on Joe Costello's show, a great interview with you and your dad, and he asked you about that, about, now that you're a driver, having to kind of filter your interviews and stuff like that, and you said, with being a crew chief, they stick a mic in your face like 10 seconds after the run, but as a driver, you got a little bit, about 30 seconds to a minute to kind of calm down and stuff like that before, they stick a mic in your face. For you, do you think that's kind of a problem, with drivers? You want to get that raw emotion as soon as they get out the race car. Do you think that should be changed a little bit?
I always thought it was really cool when they did the radio stuff, like they played the radio between the driver and the crew right away. And it was cool because that's what you got. You got the raw emotion of the moment, right? It's kind of cool just because as a guy that works on them, it kind of brings you in. You're like, oh man, I know that feeling. I know how that guy feels when he's yelling at that guy and that guy's yelling back. But it's just cool because you get the raw emotion. I don't know if I'd call it a problem though, that you get a second to collect yourself, but it definitely doesn't deliver the same type of interview. I'm not saying they're planned, but I just don't know. Like I said, I don't rehearse the things, so I just I don't want to curb expectations or anything, but that's part of the reason you get those crazy interviews because I'm on the chip right when they get that mic in my nose.
Oh, looking forward to some good ones for sure. We are looking forward to it. Andrew mentions Rookie of the Year, and that it's going to be competitive in 2024. And I certainly have to agree with him. You answered that you are going to be able to compete for Rookie of the Year in 2024. Chances, how do you think you can stack up a team that last year won races?
We're having a technical difficulty. You guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. I caught the part of your question where it was about Rookie of the Year, and this is going to be insane. To say at first I thought, Tony Stewart was going to be the biggest hurdle to jump, but gosh darn, there's just the hits just keep coming, man. So it's going to be a struggle. But I've said this before too. I mean, what class? I can't really pick a class like that's the one I would have wanted to been in, right? I mean, the last 10, 15 years, for as long as I've been dreaming about doing this, they've all been tough. So we're going to it doesn't really change the way we're going to come out there anyway, though. We're going to come out swinging and let the chips fall where they do.
So, one thing I've been kind of curious about, and, I feel like, the news of Tim stepping out of the seat and you jumping in was, I was kind of surprised. I wasn't expecting it. And so just, was this more of your dad's decision to say, hey, I want to step away and put you in the car and give you a shot? Or was this more of a SCAG decision to saying, hey, we want to, try and go down a new direction here for 2024?
The SCAG Power Equipment has been super supportive of the decision. It's going to help the program a lot, but in no way were they I don't think they suggested it necessarily. You know what I mean? They were open to it, but it didn't come from them. Tim's been ready. He kind of kicked around doing something like this last year, which I'm glad he didn't, honestly, because we were able to put an awesome season together for Chad. But it doesn't come out of nowhere for him. He's been kicking around for a minute. So that was a good question. But yeah, it's all Tim on this one.
All right. Hey, good to hear. Father passing it on to son. That is certainly great to hear. Kroger Sucks 45, the greatest YouTube handle name I have ever heard of, and I keep saying that, says, what changes had to be done to the car for you in the cockpit? And I'm certainly interested in this one because I see the chassis when they go in the shop up there at McKinney when they roll out. And I saw the one that you're going to be in soon roll out. And I knew something was up because Tim didn't really want to be on camera. I'm like, all those rumors might be true. What's going on here? And sure enough, next week, there's the answer. But yeah, what are you all looking at to change for you being in the car? I'm sure you all know because you're in the car regularly in match racing scenarios. So anything different at all?
That is a super good question. Honestly, we don't have to change anything. Anytime I've ever got in Tim's car to drive at like the match race we talked about last year, and any really like license runs I've made, we don't change anything. There may be a little component. He likes kind of a different style gas pedal, and in 22, when I got to drive Chad's car, I was actually like, I might like that pedal better. So maybe a minute change in just the way we set up the gas pedal, but time will tell. I get some runs under my belt, and we'll be able to play around with stuff like that. But honestly, the cockpit's pretty close. We're pretty close in stature, so not much needs to change.
I know one thing. Your dad found something at McKinney on an old 3-rail car of his and was like, we need that. He got a grinder out, and I mean, it was dangerous. I didn't take any photos of that. But he got that thing. He was cutting away. I got it and taking it back with him. I don't know what it was, but it was apparently very important.
Well, he's been pinching pennies for a long time. So if he sees something that he knows is a little extra, he'll snag it up.
And Daniel, you're still a really young guy, but you've been out here for a long time. I mean, I remember.
Darren, wait. Daniel, you're 35, right?
You got it.
All right. Okay. So Darren, I'm 35. You just said he was a young guy. You're always on this show saying I'm this old dude. So.
I mean, for funny car racing, he's still pretty young,
Oh, okay.
You got it. Yeah. Hey, listen, I feel your pain, bro, because forever I was the kid at the shop, right? I mean, forever. And now I'm looking around, I'm like, what year were you born? 99? 99? How can you be working on a race car? You were born in 99. That doesn't make any sense to me. So, yes, I feel your pain.
Hey, I'm in my last year of my 20s, and I'm not looking forward to 30 at all because 30 is it's kind of old, but
30's a new 20, bro.
I was joking.
You ever watch American Ninja Warrior?
Say it again.
You watch American Ninja Warrior? Them dudes are all in their 40s.
Not a long time.
They're all in their 40s, man. We're good. We're still in our prime.
Oh yeah. Those dudes are badasses. But Nitro Funny Car drivers are also badasses. And like I was saying, like, you've been out here for a long time. I mean, you've driven alcohol funny cars. I mean, I remember you driving Nitro Funny Car back in like 08, 09 and stuff like that. But, just my opinion, I feel like, if there was ever a time to go full time was during those days, back 09, 010, that era. So with the way your career was going, with the crew chiefing and everything like that, did you expect to be a full-time driver in Nitro Funny Car in the NHRA in 2024?
I did not expect it. No. Let me tell you something else. I kind of talked about this with Joe. Oh, actually, maybe it was Loans. But I've when we in that sweet spot you're talking about, 08, 09, 10, probably each one of those years, probably a couple of them, I had 2 done deal, multiple year. We're going to be doing this 5-year, multiple contracts, full-time rides, just sign here. In January, it'll be done. They all fell through, obviously, since I never got to drive. But I don't tell you that story to sound like a brat, but I mean, I probably had 4 or 5 times in my career I was like, sweet, we're doing it, we're going drag racing, and it never happened. So I keep expectations super low right up until I'm driving the thing, or in this case, until we're signing contracts and rewrapping trailers and rewrapping cars. So it's for real now.
Well, we're glad it's for real. And speaking of it being real in a funny car, the big bad boomer is always out there looming. And Dragster Jeff Kreider asks, have you had a big boomer driving yet? And are you ready for it? And you've already had incidents behind the wheel, even some that caused some rule updates within NHRA. But when it comes to major incidents on track, what have you been through? Give us that rundown.
I've been through all of them. Yeah, we had a tire or two fall off, so we had that crash. We had a fire that was honestly the worst, and then we had a intake valve drop right in the lights, and it was a pretty big boomer. Broke the body in half. It wasn't much of a fire, but it hit you in the chest pretty hard. It gets your attention. So we've had a little bit of all of them, and honestly. That fire is the worst. Just when you think, well, this can't get hotter, this can't get worse, I'll take one more breath, you're done. It's everything's hot, you can't breathe. The fires are miserable, and that's probably why we have a little tinge of craziness volunteering to get get back in every time. But yeah, we've been through them all, and just say, I don't know, you're never ready for it, but we can handle it.
Man, I remember watching that race from Memphis 09, and I believe, you were out on caps too. It looked like you were on your way to victory, and the tire came off, and just a big hit the wall pretty big. And then, but to see you jump out, I was like, oh, this dude's a badass right here. And even though you're technically a rookie, I mean, you've basically already been baptized with Nitro Funny Car. You've had fires, you had crashes. I mean, it's nothing to you.
I've been baptized, yeah. And unfortunately, it's kind of sad. I mean, I got less runs than a lot of guys had when they first started over the course of my, 8 or 9 years, whatever it is. So the number of runs is pretty low, but we have had some instances.
Well, you dropped some interesting, or at least I find interesting information with Joe that it's not drag racing related at all, but in the video game cabinet, what's in there? Earlier today, I saw a reel of like it's 07 and Halo's dropped and you're with your buddies playing and about to do campaign. And I'm like, oh, Halo. I remember those days. Those were great days. What's up there for you of great days gaming it out?
So when there's time, I played The Last of Us, and that I'm not exaggerating. It took me a year and a half to beat The Last of Us. That's how often I get to actually sit down and play. So I loved The Last of Us 1 and 2. But I play a lot of Gran Turismo. That's been my jam lately. And the race car guys, we play Call of Duty.
All right.
I like it.
I like it.
I think we're all aging ourselves with the Halo thing. That really is like mid 2000s. Like had that on Xbox. I think we're all aging ourselves.
It's a little bit. At least he didn't say, "Yeah, remember we used to be able to link them up in the dorm rooms," because I can remember. All you kids, you're gonna have to pause it or pardon us here, but you couldn't connect with each other over the internet unless you had a hard wire. You actually had to be in the same building as someone to play with them if they weren't on your TV. It was miserable. We didn't know how bad we had it.
Yeah, split screen on something that was like 24 inches. Yeah.
Right.
Stop looking on my screen. You're cheating.
Screen bacon. Oh, dude, me and my brother, we got close to some like real fisticuffs over some screen peek and stuff because he thought it was legit. And I'm like, get your eyes out of here.
Did any of us play Grand Theft Auto guys on this thing? I don't know.
Oh, I played San Andreas, Vice City, and 3. I actually bought 5. It was on sale one day, and I haven't even downloaded it yet. That's the time frame we're talking about.
That's right. Time is
time,
precious.
man. It is precious.
Time is precious. Speaking of time, look, the time is drawing closer for you to step into that hot rod. And the first race is not going to be the Gator Nationals. It's going to be the Skag Pro Shootout down there at Bradenton. Your thoughts on something that continues to be hyped up as one of the biggest shows that we are going to see for Nitro in a very, very long time?
Heck yeah, man. We're excited. You know, I was talking to somebody today, and at this point in my career, I'm excited pretty much anytime I get to stand on the gas, right? Like, if you're telling me we're to go drive funny cars, I don't know. We can go to 8th Mile Place. Let's go. I'm ready to go. Yeah, for the show that we're going to have for these fans out there and the amount of money we're racing for, that's going to be, you know, I mentioned this in an earlier interview too, that's good for the guys, right? We can get a good chunk of change. We could pass it around. That keeps morale high. It'll keep a good video game session.
And obviously, you know, we talked about, you know, you being, you know, eligible for Rookie of the Year, and it's kind of, you know, kind of an, you know, generic question, but, you know, goals going into 2024 is that, you know, how many races do you want to win? You know, is a championship a realistic, you know, thought in your head? You know, what are the goals for you and your team going into this season?
Oh yeah, I think it's beyond realistic, especially with that car Tim had all year last year and the one he finished with. We should win a handful of races, right? If we don't win a couple races, I'll call it a disappointment. And excuse me, I would not go if I didn't think we'd win the whole thing. So you know, there was a handful of cars last year that made it pretty hard to compete for number one, but we're right there. We ain't far behind him. And I mean, even, you know, Chad's car finished a couple points out of 4th, so we're all right there. So if we can keep that performance up, I don't see a reason why they won't be biting their fingernails in Pomona again with us.
All right, so I found it. We're going to show it real quick. We're going to let Daniel.
Watch this.
We're going to watch this. I found it. Went out to here. I mean,
baby girl, if you're watching this, baby girl, to pause it for a second.
Yeah,
man. It's all coming back. Okay, so right here. Oh, you just right before it like wiggled a little bit on me, and I was like, "Ooh, I dare you to smoke. I will gather this thing back up," because I couldn't see caps. Like, it's crazy how slow everything goes. So I was literally like, "I dare you, do it," and then it spun sideways. I was like, "Ooh, we got a bigger problem than just spinning the tires." But I honestly thought I thought I got it. I'll collect this. And then obviously it was beyond collection.
Yeah, no funny car driver was recollecting that one at all, for sure.
No, it was she was getting steered by things that weren't wheels anymore. That was the other thing. I was so confused. So after the thing hit the wall, I was like still trying to steer it, and I was trying to stop it. I'm like, this thing will not slow down, will not stop. Like, break the brake lines or something. Well, the brakes don't work if no tires are on the ground, so that'll keep her from stopping every time. So once I got out, I was like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense.
You know, going through something like that, you know, takes a lot of guts. And, you know, obviously, you know, they showed your mom on the original video, and obviously she was concerned, of course. But what was the first thing your dad said to you after that crash? You do you remember it all?
You know what? That's kind of funny. I think I was upset by the loss of equipment, because that year, the year before, that was the car that Tim finished second with. So that was a good car, and I knew it, and we destroyed it. So I was pretty emotional and kind of torn up that we ruined a really good piece of equipment with a lot of good stuff bolted on it, right? And that was his major thing. He's like, dude, this was out of your hands. We can fix the junk. You're good. Like, I was like, no, man, I ain't good. I mean, I'm good, but look at this molten pile of crap we got now. We got a really good race car, now it's junk. He's like, we can build another one. Chill out. We got this. It's like, no, we cannot. We cannot build another one like this. But yeah, his main concern was, man, you're fine. We're good. We'll fix it. Then we got to the shop. Then he was like, yeah, you're right. This sucks.
Check
that thing back, dude. I checked all the. I mean, I still am shocked. I mean, it broke motor parts. Basically, the only thing on that car that wasn't bent or broke was the block in the injector. Like it took the blower snout and broke the blower. It broke a bunch of the stuff on the front of the motor. I mean, it was devastating. And the more I threw away, the more Tim was like, you were onto something when you were upset.
Well, you brought it up with Joe. I have got to ask maybe something that could also be upsetting when you look back at your career in the alcohol days. What were you thinking about doing staging duels with Frank Manzo? I mean,
so I wasn't really trying to bring Manzo into a staging duel. I just thought, oh, he's messing with me, so I won't mess with him back. He's not like, I ain't that dumb. Like I ain't gonna. That's like trying to play games with Sean Langdon, right? You ain't gonna win that game. He's gonna outgame you every time. So I was like, okay, he's playing games. I'll hang out. Well, he wasn't playing games. He was just waiting for me. He was just waiting for that bonehead in the other lane, right? So that's I got caught up in that. Was only a handful of times I've ever got in my own head, and that was one of them. It was embarrassing, but I had a really sweet view to watch him go low the whole event, like he usually does. I mean, I was like, I threw the shoots out and I looked. I was like, holy crap, that was a good run. Good job, Frank.
I think that's all. Well, I mean, not many people can say they've lined up against, the ace Frank Manzo, and then obviously, whenever it does happen, because I'm sure it will happen, getting a lineup against, the 16-time champ John Force. So, I mean, not many people can say that. So I think that's pretty cool for you, I would think.
Yeah, there was a time when so I lined up against Force at the Night Under Fire. So in like the same year, I think I lined up against Force and Manzo, and I bragged about that for a long time, probably longer than I should have. But drag racing people thought that was cool. I was like, that's because it is cool to get up against those two guys. I mean, that's the two of the greats, and if you're talking funny cars, those are all-time greats. So to be able to do that within a year of each other, it was pretty spectacular. I got my butt handed to me by both of them, unfortunately, but it was still cool.
All right, you mentioned with Joe that even though you've lined up against great names such as that, you're most looking forward to lining up against Chad Green this year and racing him out, turning on a win light over someone who has become a friend. And we've had Chad on several times, and we always ask him, what's Daniel like? What's Daniel like? So we give you now the floor. What's Chad like? What's Chad like? And give us the clue in on Chad, because Chad's a really cool character out there. He doesn't seem like he gets that upset. He kind of keeps himself in line, but he also knows how to party and have a good time as well.
Yeah, that's who he is. That's why we get along, because me or him, neither one of us can be anything but who we are, right? I mean, he's like you said, he doesn't let stuff upset him. If he makes a mistake, he owns it. If you make a mistake, he has never like yelled ever. I've never heard him yell. But you can kind of tell it's like that. He's not like a dad. He's a friend to me. But that dad thing when you're like, oh, I can tell that I've disappointed you. But he doesn't say it, but you can tell. But he's super level-headed. I mean, he's my friend. Like he's a cool dude, right? When that car needs something, we bought it. Like he's not trying to 80% this deal. He understands what it takes, and we ran it like a nitro car should be run. There's a couple times, like I'm trying to think of a really good on the radio. It's usually pretty funny. He's pretty entertaining. So like we were somewhere, and he was running his pro mod car and the funny car at the same time, and I heard him. He's rolling in. I heard him go, and then he staged, and I was like, this guy. So immediately I got ready. I was like, hey, I heard you rev that thing up. And all I heard was on the radio. He's like, yeah, I did. So, he just owns it. You know what I mean? He's not like, oh, nope, not me. I didn't do it. He's like, yeah. He's just chuckling. And to your other point, that dude can't party. He knows how to have a good time. He don't go there necessarily. I mean, he goes there to have fun, and it's he takes it very seriously. We do it the right way. He's become an excellent driver, but he goes there to have a good time, and we do.
You guys had such a great year last year. Obviously, like we mentioned, winning the World Finals, went to a couple finals that year, and you guys were really building something over there over the past couple of years. You saw the progression each year. How hard was it to leave that team, though? I know it was kind of a better opportunity to actually drive, but how hard was it to actually leave that team and everything you guys have built over the past few years?
It was kind of hard. Honestly, when Tim first pitched it, I mean, he pitched it to me like, "Hey, congrats!" I was like, I mean, hang on, let's talk about it. I mean, I can't just up and leave that deal, right? So it was a decision, but I mean, who's going to turn down a chance to go drive a funny car? I mean, that I especially run it with one of my good friends too, Tim Wilkerson, my dad, my homie. That was too good to turn down, but it wasn't easy. And the thing that made it doable for me was leaving it in the hands of Joe Serena and Dean Marinas. And there's a lot of guys over there that are really good, that work on the thing that are good too. So being able to leave it in those guys' hands, so I know they can pick up right where we left off, that made it doable for me.
So fill us in. Everybody wants to know the technical alliances and just, with Dave Richards and Chad Green going forward. Just fill us on all that.
So the technical alliance with Chad Green is, I'm going to be able to help them when they get started, but it's not as much as I would say the Richards car, because they're, our team is a factory team, right? And they are also a factory team with Skag and Versatran. So that alliance is going to be, I think, as far as technical alliance, that's going to be a little tighter than Chad's car now. Like I said, Chad's a super good dude. So, and I know all them guys over there. So we will be able to probably bounce ideas off each other. And the Richards car right now, we're not really running the same stuff right now. Like you talked about, building something over years. So that car, in order to be, we'll be right there at the racetrack with any kind of advice we can offer, but we won't be able to go, here, bolt this on. Like this, it won't be like that yet. It's gonna take a little time to build. But as far as an alliance goes, yeah, that's in Richards right there.
And just real quick too, the new Dark Horse funny car body, will you guys have that for 2024, or you guys haven't still have the old body?
So we have what we've been running for now. We'll go with that. We'll leave it there.
I got you.
Okay. Cool. Uncle Tony's Garage asks this accounting question. He just says it's been a while since he has paid attention to the sport. What would you estimate your per run cost today in a big show nitro funny car?
So that is kind of a tricky question. So if you want to include hotels, payroll, get in the truck and trailer there, right? Which you can't really exclude if you're talking. It's probably 10 or 12 grand a run.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That's why we don't have a ton of match racing anymore.
You got it. Hey, man. Yeah, you hit on something sad but true, right? These things cost so much money to run, unless you can get it kind of close. Like we've done a couple, like that World Series we did. You can jet up there, make runs, jet back. You don't have the 4 days of hotels. You don't have thousands of dollars of diesel fuel to get there. You don't have 4 days of paying guys to work on the thing. Like, people should be well compensated for working on these things. It's hard to work on these things. So I'm not complaining that it costs money to run it. It should. But when you just do a 1 day deal or a 2 day deal, then it significantly cuts it. But it's not easy. It's not cheap.
And that makes sense. I think of the places getting most of the match racing. They're centrally located. They're not far from Brownsburg, whether it's Norwalk, Ohio, you've over there at Cordova on the banks of the Mississippi and Illinois. And I think of Dale Creasy Jr. He was at Nitro Chaos, Eddyville, Iowa. That's still not that far, considering when you take the scope of the country and how many drag strips there are. So someone calling from, let's say a South Georgia Motorsports Park, hey, I want you to come and do a Nitro show. That's going to be a far more hefty bill than World Series and Night of Fire and those type of places.
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, all those costs add up. And of course, there's always parts attrition too. Like, you ain't gonna get around that. The thing eats up aluminum more than it burns nitro some days. So it just ain't cheap.
So I want to play a quick clip real quick. Get your thoughts on it. I want to ask you a question afterwards. Let's take a look.
Uh-oh, that makes me nervous.
Yeah, it's a cool one.
Tim Wilkerson driving the John Costanza Institute of Technology car. Lost to John Forrest at Englishtown in the semis. Here, a chance for redemption. He's in the final round, looking for his first win. To get it, a piece of cake. You got to beat John Forrest in the other lane. This was a wild one. Wilkerson wins it by out-pedaling the champ, and he was having a good time.
That's a driver right there, boy.
There you go.
Man, that was awesome. I was in the tow vehicle when we did that. And we had no idea who won. My mom was sitting with me. My poor mother was like, do you guys know? I was like, I don't know. And we had to wait till the guys got back so they could tell us, because all we saw was pure white smoke. I mean, you couldn't see a time board from where we were sitting. You couldn't see nothing. And all you could hear was people going, woo! There's just yelling. You couldn't make out who won. But that was definitely a cool day. That was and to see him, wah, 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 that's awesome.
So to my calculations, you had to be 10 at the time, correct?
Was that 99? Yeah.
Yeah, had to be about 10 years old at the time.
Yeah.
Does 10 ever walk around and be like, hey, I remember when I beat John Forrest in my first race? You ever still do that? You ever sort of brag about that?
No.
Not at all?
Nope. If you bring that day up, a funny thing, he'll actually, he had all day, he'd been riding the brake because it got really hot. Mm-hmm. So he had been like, step on the gas, and then he'd like ease on, well, I guess it was a pull brake. So he'd pull the brake a little bit just to slow it down. That was before they had mag retarders. That was before, they had them, but that car did not have one on. So he was doing tricky stuff to try and make it go down the track. So the thing he talks about when you talk about that day is that was the only round he didn't do it because it was night. So he's like, it'll be fine this time. And as you can tell, it was not. But it didn't matter. The win light came on.
Certainly, no, cool moment for your dad, cool moment for you as his son, and we're looking forward to you having cool moments behind the Skag funny car in 2024 and beyond. My last question for you, Daniel, I'll take Scott's question from the comment section. He says, what would your best accomplishment for the 2024 season be? What's the expectations? Everyone wants to know that. We know you shared a little bit with Joe. Reiterate for us what you think should be able to happen for this team this year with you driving.
Well, the expectation for me is a couple of race wins and a top 5 finish. I'm not going to say anything less than that would be a disappointment, but they won a couple races last year, and they were in contention for a handful of them, and there's no reason why we can't do that again, right? So, I'm not saying we're going to go out there and win 10 races or nothing, but we definitely should be a major thorn in their side. I don't see why we wouldn't be.
Cool deal. And I don't have a question, Daniel, but I just want to say, it's really cool to see you, have this opportunity. And I can tell you're really one of the genuine good guys out there, because obviously this past season, I walked over to get an interview with Chad Green, and, I didn't know where he was at. And the fact that, obviously you're a busy guy, you're a crew chief, had a lot of other stuff to do, but, you took the time out, you stayed there, you talked to me, I was standing there by myself, and you didn't, just made me feel comfortable and everything like that. So I just want to say thank you, for doing that, because you have to do that. And so it's cool to see you getting this opportunity. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah. You're welcome. And I appreciate that too, man. You didn't have to say it in front of everybody, but I appreciate it. Make me blush.
No, legit. He legit waited out there and talked to me until Chad Green came out. I thought that was so cool. Really cool.
Yeah, it was right after our interview too, so I felt like we were friends.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty cool.
Daniel, look, thank you for your time, man. We know that you're doing the rounds in the media and giving all these interviews. We appreciate your time right here on the Competition Plus Power Hour. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys for all you do for, the fans need the dirt, right? We got to hear it. We love these interviews, and we appreciate it. And it does a lot for our sport too when you get you guys pumping us up. So we appreciate it. Also, I heard a baby crying behind my shoulder there about 5 minutes ago, so I probably should go tend to that. So
do that. Do that. Have a good night, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good night.
Awesome. I agree with you, man. Daniel certainly is one of the good ones out there, and looking forward to him being behind the wheel and having a lot of success behind the wheel, and it being in a full-time scenario. That is going to be spectacular. And with his capability already behind the wheel, with it being the situation where it will be full-time, more runs after more runs after more runs, and that compounding, that he's going to be that much better of a driver very shortly in the future.
No, for sure. And like he says, he's inheriting a great race car. Tim Wilkerson won a few races last year. Chicago and Seattle, I believe, were the two he won. Went to another final, Pomona. Not sure if I'm sure he went to some other finals throughout the season as well, but he's inheriting a great car. And I just want to see if that team can, they run good in the really hot conditions. We see Tim always runs good in the tricky conditions, and let's see if they can do it in the cool conditions. And if they can, there will be a real championship contender in 2024.
Absolutely. Well, folks, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're still going to talk drag racing, big events and independent races and beyond. Dive into that comment section. We want to hear from you. Put in the comment section your favorite independent big race and the track that it's held at. We want to hear that. We'll be back right after this break.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S.
Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away.
Competition Products, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
Hey, for all your competition needs, Competition Products, give them a call. They help out our buddy Chris King and his funny car operation. Thanks you guys for helping out there. And they also support competitionplus.com, which, by the way, has the best rumor mill brought to you by FTI in the whole drag racing world. You want to get the scoop before it's ever being scooped out. Well, it's on the FTI rumor mill. Oftentimes, Darren, you know as well as I do that those rumors do, in fact, become true. But let's talk about not any rumors, but absolute facts in big independent drag races. One of them coming up this very weekend, the U.S. Streetcar Nationals down at Brayton in Florida. That place has got it going on with huge mega events.
Yeah, man, the U.S. Street Nationals, like you mentioned, a big independent race out there. Also hosts the Snowbirds, is going to, host the Pro Superstar Shootout. It's called, what is the name? It's the Pro Superstar Shootout,
Skag
right?
Pro Superstar Shootout.
Superstar Shootout, yeah. Like you said, they're doing the thing right now with these big time independent races and stacked field
World
for
Series of Pro Mod.
World Series of Pro Mod. Like you said, Bradenton, and what I've heard is that they're actually trying to, update their racetrack too, make it better, for the fans.
Well, not even just trying; they've done it. They are in a continual process. The ownership there, and fails me now, escapes my name. The young man that is heading the way, and the whole team there. They have brought in, if I remember correctly, new bleachers. They've brought in new scoreboards. They are widening return roads and things of that nature. Because thank you, Wes. Vic Alvarez, from what I understand, I have heard from drivers in the past that have not been there in a while that it's tight. It's a tight facility, but they are continuing to make updates to make the facility better and be the place that is hosting so many big independent shows that really bookend the calendar of drag racing. And I love the addition of Nitro that they're going to have. And I love that you have the door slammer world represented so well with Snowbirds and the U.S. Streetcar Nationals and the World Series of Pro Mod really kind of kicking things off. I mean, basically it gives drag racers somewhere to go during all these cold months. Get out of Brownsburg and go down to Florida. That sounds like a good trip to me.
You know, I say this on every show. Southern California to me is the home of drag racing, but of course, you know, Florida's kind of taking that over now with, you know, obviously the Pro Superstar Shootout. You know, you got a lot of, you know, divisional races, you know, like the World Series of Pro Mod, the Gator Nationals kicks off the NHRA season now. But just going back on the improvements, I'm loving this from drag strips. You know, a lot of these tracks were built, you know, in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and, you know, and the fact that they're, you know, putting the time in, putting the effort in to update these facilities and make it better for the fans, better amenities. I think that's really cool. And it's stepping up drag racing as a whole, as a sport. So I'm loving it.
It's got to happen. And I appreciate a track and facility not relying on NHRA national event.
Mm-hmm.
That says something. That without that event card, and if you've got an NHRA national event, though it may cost you a lot of money, though it may even be something you just break even at, because the dollar sense doesn't always make sense. I mean, we've seen that with the case of Virginia Motorsports Park and Tommy Franklin, but you have to commend them to say, hey, though we're not getting that, we're still going to have big events. We're still going to have big races. And they've been doing that for a long time. I mean, the Snowbirds has an immense legacy of being a big door slammer race for a lot of money on the line, and everybody showing up across from all these divisions in door slammer racing to race it out for who I really think if you win the Snowbirds, you are the pro mod driver and team with all the bragging rights, honestly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's the same as far as, like, you know, a March meet. You know, you asked us, you know, what is your favorite independent race out there? You know, for me, so it's kind of surprising, actually. So the March meet is actually not my favorite independent race. It's what Scott Purley said. It's the California Hot Rod Reunion. Yes. It's the season finale of the Heritage Series. Now Wally Park's NHRA Nostalgia Nationals. That's actually my favorite independent race. But, you know, you also mentioned, you know, not, you know, clinging on to NHRA. Well, another track, like he says, US 131. I forgot what the race is called, but they bring in Nostalgia Top Fuel. They bring in the PDRA last year. They bring in, you know, Outlaw Nitro Funny Cars. Like, it's a big event. The crowd comes in. So, you know, you can definitely, you know, book the house out and have big shows without, you know, the NHRA tag on it.
Right. You also have the efforts at Cordova to revive the World Series nameplate after it was messed with and
Northern
damaged.
Nationals, there we go. Northern Nationals.
With the IHRA venture and moving it to Memphis, that was not a good move. It did not work out well, but they've got that going back. That name is back, and it is being successful once again. So you can have big events apart from the NHRA, and they be successful and they be important in the economy of drag racing.
Yes. But I want to say this, though, and this is, you know, just not to... NHRA is still the top level of drag racing, though, you know, and and I appreciate what Lee Beard, you know, when we had him on a couple of weeks ago, he said, you know, hey, I'm all NHRA, you know, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, NHRA helped him, you know, make his living. NHRA, you know, helped him get his name out there, you know, let him have a career. So, you know, for guys who are, you know, solely NHRA, I think there's nothing wrong with that at all. Cause I mean, it is the top level of drag racing, and that's where your biggest names are at, though. So, you know, is my opinion.
The fact of the matter is, what do we say? I think of Lyle Greenberg earning his license, and what's the phraseology there with earning his license from a Nitro Nostalgia funny car? It's, I got my license in a Big Show car. It's a Big Show funny car. Those in the NHRA Heritage Series, what do they refer to those in the Mission Foods Series? The Big Show cars, the Big Show guys. It is the Barnum and Bailey of this drag racing circus. It just is. You cannot get around that. And it you know, look, smart for Pro and Skag and everyone at Braden. You know, the NHRA's got this platform. to give those of that platform another opportunity to race. Why not do that? And you have them come and you have them participate, and it's all this big money, and it's something that we haven't seen in, decades.
And so I'm excited because the SCAG Pro Superstar Shootout, I believe it's going to be 1 session on Friday and 3 on Saturday, if I remember correctly, right? And then the race on Sunday, which would be an 8-car show. Am I correct? Do you know if that's correct?
Wes, chime in. Let's make sure.
Oh yeah, he is in the comments. Oh, so he says no.
Yes.
So he'll listen in. But just to try something different, see a different. Oh, so it's 1 on Thursday and 3 on Friday, and then the race on Saturday. Yeah, so it's like that. Yeah, just to see them trying something different and switching up the format and just seeing what you can do instead of the regular 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, and a 16-car show on Sunday. Seeing something different, seeing drag racing in a different market, or seeing the guys who race in the NHRA on a different market, like you said, out of Bradenton. I'm really excited for this deal. And they announced the announcing lineup for the race. Ralph Shaheen, a guy who's been on, has covered all types of motorsports, was on TNN back in the day. So I'm really excited for this deal. It's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, Ralph Shaheen, when's the last time he was a part of a drag racing event? I don't remember.
Like late 90s, early 2000s, like
right.
I said, back in like TNN,
I mean, it is seared in my mind. Ralph Shaheen, Steve Evans, Winter Nationals, I believe it was, or the finals, and you've got Steve Evans with that classic, oh, they're going to run the car. Oh, imagine that. He didn't leave on time, and Warren Johnson gets the win or something like that.
Mm-hmm. No, I think this would be cool. And Wes Buck says Tony Stewart called him for us, and that was that. So I think that's really cool. Ralph Shaheen, I saw him at PRI too. I was like, oh, that's Ralph Shaheen. Yep. Yeah, like man, that's it. There he goes, and live in person.
And in his magazine, Speed Sport, it's one of the best motorsport magazines out there, covering the totality of motorsports, from the open wheel world of dirt and on asphalt and dirt late models and drag racing, you name it. Speed Sport definitely is one of the top, if not the top, motorsport magazines out there.
So we knocked the, and rightfully so, when NHRA said, one of the biggest announcements in NHRA history, we talked about that and everything like that. But like Wes just said, Tony got on the phone and got Ralph Shaheen for this event. You have literally guys from different motorsports now talking about drag racing on a consistent basis. Kenny Wallace posted on Twitter, he asked who was the greatest drag racer of all time. You have Dave Moody, chiming in now on Twitter talking about drag racing. Like, oh. I know you don't like Dave Moody. I know.
I called in on that show one time and never mind.
But you're literally starting to see the after effects now of what Tony Stewart's done for drag racing and everything like that, and still a lot of work to do. It's still a lot of growth to be done. But the little stuff you're seeing, I like it.
It is very good to see. Look, if you're still one of those people that think drag racing is dying or dead or going downhill, you're just wrong. You're dumb, actually. And you're not taking in the totality of what is happening in drag racing. Look, to me, it looks like the door slammer world is on the best rise it's been on for a very long time. You've got Chris Graves doing what he's doing with Funny Car Chaos and Nitro Chaos. The NHRA is making moves. They had a major sponsor, a title sponsor of the entire series, say, we like enough what you've done that we're going to stick on as a different type of sponsor for you to be able to have the next best sponsor. And that next best sponsor is already doing brand engagement with drivers and beyond. I mean, that's good. You see, I don't know. There's so many good positive. The Southeast Gasser Association, what they're doing. I mean, it's good. It's good. It is a good time. It's a good time. Look, get in your time machine and go back to 1970, whatever, when the drag strips had no bathrooms and there was nothing, no amenities, and everybody was running. Half the field was going to break anyway, and you already knew who was going to win because Garlits entered, and there was no reason to run the race. Go ahead. Do it. I like where we're at now. Thank you.
I agree with everything you're saying, Lee, but I mean, call me an old school drag racing fan, but I'm sorry, I got to do this. Quarter mile racing was badass. I'm sorry. It's just when 442s, 460s. I mean, but hey, like you said, I definitely agree with what you're saying. We're in the golden ages of drag racing now. Like the close competitions, everything we're seeing now, the growth of the sport. Like we're definitely in the golden ages of drag racing, I would say. But I do like my quarter mile racing though. I can't lie.
I think it's pretty good right now.
I sound like an old guy now, right? I sound like I'm getting old. Like
you kind of do.
I know. I'm sound like one of those get off my lawn type of guys. Yeah.
Right.
I'm not that old though. I swear I'm not that old.
And look, humans have a bad habit of we look back to whatever brought us the greatest joy, and it seems to always be the past because we can't actually live in the present. We always have this gloom of the future, and we think that whatever was behind was the best.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're looking at some of the best days ahead ever.
Mm-hmm.
I think we are.
No, I agree with you. I'm joking around a lot. No, for sure. We're definitely in a good time of drag racing right now.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So, big independent events. I'm just glad they're not dead. And you've got some tracks like Bradenton leading the way. It's very cool how they are using their place in the United States of America, in the drag racing world, literally geography and the weather. Because you got to remember, they kind of slow down in the summer because it's just hot.
Yeah.
Just blah, blah.
Yeah.
But they use that to their advantage. And when everybody else can't race all across the country and in their normal championship campaign seasons, they're like, yeah, we'll have these big races. Why not? I like it.
No, I like it too. And, we talk about NHRA and we talk about independent races. Well, when you take away the fuel cars, these big show top fuel dragsters and these big show nitro funny cars, you look at a Bradenton, you look at a Bakersfield, a Famoso, you look at a US 131, the type of races they put on these independent races, I feel like the cars fit the racetrack. Does that make sense? When you see a nostalgia, you see a nostalgia front engine top fuel dragster or a nostalgia funny car, it just looks right at Bakersfield. Not saying it doesn't when you see the legends out of Las Vegas or something like that, but I feel like when you see door slammers at Bradenton, it just looks right. It just feels right. It fits the racetrack. Does that make sense?
No, it completely does. I mean, you're talking to me in terms that I completely understand with Funny Car Chaos and Nitro Chaos. We go to an Edgewater and Nitro Chaos just fits there. And we go to an Eddyville Raceway Park and it just fits there. I think it's Southeast Gassers Association. And shout out to Shadyside Dragway. They have been needing for a while to make seating updates. And from what I saw picture-wise, they are making major seating updates to that historic facility. And Southeast Gassers Association drag racing just looks and fits right in this place outside of Shelby, North Carolina, that's literally down in a hole at the bottom of the hill running next to a creek. And it has that old time feel, but yet they're drawing in droves of people to see heads up, old school drag racing action.
Yeah.
And again, we go back to it. Independent racing's not dead. Drag racing's not dead. Everything seems to be alive and well. And thank you for these tracks saying, oh, so what if I can't get an NHRA national event? We're going to still put together shows and enjoy drag racing. And look, we hadn't even talked about, let's throw in Rockingham. Rockingham Dragway, you could say, what a downhill slide that was for a long time and kind of just hanging on. It would have its NHRA divisional event, but not even having a national event, not even holding a regional. Though I hope that in the future that is a case for that track if they can get things worked out, because the division number 2, East region, they need another Southern regional race for the alcohol guys because of Atlanta not being there anymore. But back of the track, the biggest back of the track race happens at Rockingham, and people all across the country come to Rockingham to do no prep back of the track drag racing. You can still hold big independent events.
And, what's interesting is that before I started my channel, American Hot Rod Entertainment, and you knew this, I was always, I was all NHRA, right? And stuff like that. Because that's just what I grew up on. I told you, being on the West Coast, I wasn't really introduced to IHRA like that. Like I would catch IHRA quite a bit on the Speed channel and stuff like that during that era, but I was mostly always NHRA. But when I started my channel and really, really, kind of hanging out with you and stuff like that, you really opened my eyes to the independent races, with all the work you did with Sega and, with Midwest Drag Racing Series. And obviously when Funny Car Chaos came around, really opened my eyes to say, hey, these are really cool events to go to. Like I went to the March meets, I went to the California Hot Rod reunions because it was in my backyard and I knew about it. It's like, I love Nitro, I love Nitro. So, but you were really the one who really kind of opened my eyes, say, hey, there's other drag racing out there and there's also other cool drag racing out there and you should definitely attend these events. So, like you said, drag racing is definitely alive and well and is doing real well across the country and across the world, honestly.
It really is. I mean, drag racing dipped in Australia, but it seems to be back on the rise here recently with things that they were able to work out with the two bodies coming together to work things out and move forward, which needed to really happen. And you've got popular people like Ida Zetterstrom that I think brought a lot of eyeballs onto European drag racing. Now she's going to be over here competing part-time. And look, there are definitely some great things happening in the world of drag racing. Is there still a lot of room for work? Yes. Because you look at the market, and then you look at the market share, and you look at what like NASCAR has, and then you look at what like IndyCar has. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of work to be done.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. And talking about this Pro Superstar Shootout, I feel like this is going to be like, when the NHRA would go to, a Phoenix, before the start of the season or a Bakersfield for the start of the season. I remember Pro Stock used to have their World Series, Super Bowl or something like that at Las Vegas back in the day. I feel like the Pro Superstar Shootout is going to be that annual event that, we kick off the season with before the Gator Nationals. I think this will be the tradition now, moving forward. And like I said, just to try something new, like I said, the one session on Thursday and then 3 on Saturday. When is the last time we've seen, these guys who race on NHRA stage with 3 runs of qualifying? Like we see, of course, 3 runs on race day, but 3 runs in qualifying, that's something different and stuff like that. And just seeing it in a new market. And obviously, like I said, it's on Flow Racing. So, are you going, Lee?
I don't know. Now, if Bobby Bennett wants me to be there, then we'll work things out. But as well as I do, Darren, my MO with the Monday Morning Racer brand is I've always give attention to those who didn't have attention. That's always been the goal. So I would probably be somewhere giving attention to some race or some group that hasn't got attention. All right. Just like what I do with alcohol, just like what I do with Southeast Gas Association, just like what I do with Funny Car Chaos. So I may not be there.
Well, hey, I've tried the deal of, putting some racers who don't usually get the spotlight, in the spotlight, and they rather go off and start something else without telling me. So it happens, but I'm not bitter at all, So
wow,
I'm not bitter.
Wow. There's
just
saying, slight use of platform. If
you pick up the phone sometime. I mean, just
pick up the phone. Pick up the phone.
I'm not bitter though. I'm not bitter, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. It is. Well, Wes, thank you for the invitation, man. We appreciate it. And either way, I know it's going to be a spectacular event. And look, someone mentioned in the comment section already, and it was many comments ago, but they mentioned the popular hot rodding drag races. Mm-hmm. And that's what this event reminds me of. And I'm so glad that this is happening because at one time, those drag races that Garlis and Karamazini's and Shirley and Perdome and Force and those big names of that day, they showed up and they wanted to win that race. That was something you put on your resume at the end of the year. We won the popular hot rodding, And I hope that this is something that will routinely, for years to come, be that it will rank right up there. Like, okay, obviously, U.S. Nationals, you want to win that one. And that was going to be on the top of the list. But like right below it, SCAG Pro Superstar Shootout. Why not?
Why not? You still throw the World Finals in there too. I told you, hey, That final qualifying session on Saturday night, last session of fun, you cannot tell me that last session of Funny Car on Saturday night was not off the hook. I still play that in my head to this day. That mess was off.
It was spectacular. It was spectacular. It was spectacular.
It's something, you know, they're trying to push drag racing out east. Like there's just something about Southern California, sunsetting, nitro cars on a starting line. Just you can't beat it. I mean, you can't beat it. Just saying.
Hey, and look, you got to commend what they're doing at the Pomona In-N-Out Burger drag strip at the Fairplex in Pomona, California, because it just all fits right now. And I know listening to Brian Lones on one of the Insider podcasts that In-N-Out Burger is working along with NHRA and the Fairplex, that they're hoping to have more drag racing there. And that is good news for Southern California. Yeah, no, I think that needs to happen. I mean, they literally only use the track the 2 times a year now for the Winter Nationals and the World Finals. Like I remember back in the day, they used to have the good guys come through. A lot of other series used to come through, even like, just some, kids to get off the street and come. So yeah, that definitely needs to happen for sure. It does. It does. Well, talking about moving on through, Darren, we need to do that right here with the show. Hold on. Before we go, quickly. You didn't say your favorite independent race though. I said mine. What's yours? Oh man, my favorite independent drag race. See, I don't want to throw in a chaos race because I don't think that's independent because it's not a one-off if they're a part of a series. But I will say, I can say it a part of the chaos brand though, because there is going to be an independent chaos race that is not associated with points this year. First time ever, inaugural event, chaos at Bakersfield. You can't do that. It hasn't happened yet. You ain't know how to race it. You can't do that. You got to pick already my favorite. It's already my favorite. It's already my favorite. Yes, you can. Yes, you can do that. Yes, can. That's cheating. Hey, you asked Wes. You see this? Wes, what is your favorite race right now? What is your favorite race right now? I guarantee it's Skag Superstar Pro Shootout because that's the next one, and it's the big one, and it's the new one. Guarantee it. But yes, I'm looking forward to Chaos in Bakersfield, that's like a perfect mashup, man. Perfect. You see this, guys? Look, he's happy to come to California. See, everybody wants to crap on California, but look, he's happy to come to California. Yeah, up, not in LA. Well, you're 2 hours from LA. Whoa. Yeah, up over the mountains. You're 2 hours from LA. Right. Or on the streets of Bakersfield. Is that how it goes? Something like that. Yeah. Something like that. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yes. Yeah. All right, we're done. Amen. We're done. Yeah. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. Thank you, folks, for commenting. Hit that like button. Hit the share button. I am Lee Kraft, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer. And over there, Darren Williams Jr., Assistant Editor for Competition Plus. This has been the Competition Plus Power Hour. Daniel Wilkerson, thank you for your time. Until next time, God bless and keep the pedal to the metal.
If you want to take your vehicle's performance to new heights, you got to give it P. Like our original equipment technology, antifreeze, and coolant. Our formulas match the vehicle manufacturer's technology requirements so that we have the perfect match for every vehicle. That's one reason why Peak is among the fastest growing brands of coolant in America. We work harder to earn the trust of people like you every day.
Classic car owners, make your headlights over twice as bright with Holley Retro Bright LED headlights. A plug-in replacement for those dim halogen seal beams, Retro Bright maintains that classic look and lasts 6 times longer. Stay safe and click the link below to learn more.